What's up guys, Nightingale here and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm making a video that I kind of don't want to make, but it kind of needs to be made. This is, I guess you could say, in response to the balance patch here from the 927 balance patch that's coming out here in about 2 weeks, let's say. And I want to bring awareness to this because this is getting out of control, and this may open your eyes a little bit. So where this came from is, if you look right here, MLKen has a new passive. He is getting the... Let me bring it over to this screen so I can read it a little bit easier. His Dragon Flame passive is now being changed from increased effect resistance by 30%. Has a 30% chance to counterattack when attacked. This is the part we're really after, is they're removing the effect resistance from his kit. Now they're going to adding, at the start of the battle, grants vigor for 3 turns. When an ally, except for the caster, suffers a critical hit, counterattacks. Alright. So, if we address this, and I've brought this up in the video, so if you've watched it, yes, this is a little bit of redundant information, but there is something that we're going to be changing and really talking about more in depth here. So, this is an obvious thing of Smilegate, super creative. We're going to just say the game developers for the sake here, because I really believe this is Super Creative's thing, not Smilegate. As much as I would love to rag on them, this is probably Super Creative through and through. So they're removing the effect resistance. Now, to some of you, you're like, who cares? That's 30 effect resistance. Well, it comes down to a couple different things to talk about, which is, well, effect resistance is, let's say, that 30% divided by, let's say, the average of 6 is roughly 5 rolls. If you say 30% divided by 8, which is the max roll, that's 3, almost 4 rolls worth of effect resistance that they're taking out of his kit. Now, why is this such a big deal? Well, that's what I want to address here for the next few minutes, and then we'll move on to something even more important. I promise you do not want to miss what is in this video, as normally when I make these videos like this, there is a lot of information and there is a lot of detail with it. So, why is this important, that he's losing 30 F-res? Well, because the whole idea of this unit was to not be controlled. Yeah, that's literally why MLKen was one of the reasons why he was so hard to use. On top of adding in the cannot be counterattacked shenanigans they started adding in, this is one of the others, is you don't want to have him controlled, so you don't take him into controlling based compositions. That's, to be fair, that's not where he belonged, but there are some debuffers out there behind some pretty nasty damage dealers that do control fairly well. Now, what we're gonna do is I want to talk to you about the effectiveness versus F-res and really why this is such a big deal. So for the average MLKen is, we're not even gonna say mine is average, but let me pull mine up. Mine is sitting at 235 effect resistance right now on the game. So, okay, great. He's at 235. Just remember that. So, if I move my big noggin out of the way, my MLKen sits right here. So let me grab this screenshot, and we're going to use mine as the average. So he's in between this. So for those of you who haven't seen this before, this was done on Reddit, I believe, somewhere on Google. It's been sent to me a long time ago. I don't remember where it came from. I believe this is a Reddit post. Anyway, I didn't make this, but whoever made it, you're amazing. I love you. Thank you so much for making this, because this makes my life so much easier to do. So, now, why this is a big deal is because this is calculating effectiveness versus F-res. And this is why this is so stupid for the game. So he's going to be right here at 230. Now I'm going to bring this down to make, whoop, wrong one, wrong button. So to make this easier, you want to look at this. So just know that the middle is roughly 100%, and then the far right is 200%. So the average debuffer is to the right side of this document here. All right. So let's bring this down. So, at 140, he finally has 10% chance to be debuffed. That's 140 effectiveness. Now, that's not a lot of effectiveness in the grand scheme of the game. So I wanted to bring this up and point this out like this. So if we go to the average effect resist ring, it is 65% effectiveness, all right? So that leaves us with 5 pieces. So let me bring back up my handy dandy calculator and let me get this over on the screen so it's easier for me to math along the way with you guys. Is this. So I have 235 effectiveness, all right? Or effect resistance. Now I'm gonna minus 65. So that leaves me now with 170 plus his natural, which is I'm pushing in 18. So if I'm gonna minus out another 18, now he's down to 152. So that's from his imprint concentration. Now I'm gonna divide that by 5 pieces. Here's the crazy thing. In order to do what we're talking about here, to get him at 230, I need the average on my kit of 30.4 effect resist on my kit. The average of 30% on my rolls. Now I can tell you, I have a 42 roll or 40 something roll on my necklace. It's stupid and that's what's partially carrying me. I believe there's a little effect resistance in here in his kit. Let me double check. Awaken. Attack, attack. Does he have any in here? No, attack, critical chance. No, so I am straight pushing that off of his, okay, so that is correct. So my gear average is 30.4 on his kit. 30.4. All right, now let's do the math again. So, we've established that somebody to control me is gonna need to put in, at this point, it's roughly 200. All right, so let's say the average debuffer is 200. We're gonna minus, see here, is it, let me double check, because it's been a minute since I saw I believe the effectiveness and effect resist rings are the same, which is main stat, effectiveness. Yes, 65. Okay, cool. So we're the same. So minus 65 on the ring, and then we're gonna minus, normally they're up in the 20. We'll just give them, for the benefit of the doubt, we'll give them a 30. Now that's 105 effectiveness they have to make up. Now divide that by 5. They only need to get 21 effectiveness per roll to have a 70% chance to control him. Now, here's the thing. ML Ken is in this case, is a bit of a stretch because, let's be real, the average unit isn't going to be sitting here pushing a hard 200 plus FRES on their kit. But when we take it like this, what's the average debuffer? They're probably somewhere around 160. So we're going to just go ahead and say, 150 to be safe. So the average debuffer is probably running around, because you're not trying to control ML Kens, you're trying to control cleave units, you're trying to control some small counters, you're trying to silence some stuff, so you're going after the small fries here. What you're trying to do with your kit isn't necessarily go after these chonky guys. You're looking at roughly this. You're trying to control everything below. If we go grab this is what the average person is trying to stop. So, in that case, you're after those mid tanks. All you need is 150 effectiveness to do this. So, what's 150 effectiveness here? All right, well, let's minus out our 65, which brings us down to 85 effectiveness. Now, divide that by 5 pieces of gear. That is now a 17 roll they need on each one of their pieces. Now, if you may not understand this, do you see where the disparity difference is here already? Effectiveness versus effect resist is already way out of proportion for a couple different reasons. One, effectiveness at 100%, as you can see up here, has if you have 0 FRES, they have an 85% chance to control you already with 0 effectiveness. The average Soul Weaver tank stuff is somewhere around in here. You'll see in between 100 and 150. And then you'll see some great ones, really good ones, well-built ones. Let's put it this way. Well-built tanks, well-built stuff sitting post 150. But we're trying to give you the average player's perspective here. it's pretty quickly that you can easily out-ER to out-FRES somebody. This is a big deal when you're losing 30 FRES like that on anything. So let's take this a step further. Because here's something that's really been bothering me, and you guys hear me harp about this a lot on why this crap needs to stop. Because the game was designed around, for those of you who are newer, the game was designed around 15%, which if you look up there at the 00, that is exactly 15%. What does this mean? It means the game has an innate built resist that they swore up and down could not be taken out because of how the game works. 15% was there to do the job. All right. Let's go one step further beyond. So, they said, well, we got a way to get around that. I've put together a sheet right here of units that have ignore FRES in their kit. That's right. Meaning they can bypass that 15% hard mechanic that was supposed to protect you and them from being able to dominate a game. Well, I didn't realize that 40 units out of our 200 and whatever units in the game, almost 300 minus some dupes from specialty changes, there's a bunch of them here. Now, what I've gone ahead and done is just to rub the salt in a little bit deeper, I've gone ahead and put stars beside these that make you see the book holder. So for those of you who don't know, there's a lovely little artifact out there that will give you 20 souls. And all those lovely starred characters will be able to hold a book, not necessarily that it's best in slot, but you get the hint. You get the hint. These are the ones that have the ignore FRES and can be self-sufficient in doing that. Now, on top of that, some of these are behind skills. If they are behind skills, typically that means you do not need the book to do it. Meaning their skill automatically will ignore the effect resistance. Here's the crazier thing. How many of these units are newer? There's a lot here. Some of these were done by buffs. Some of these were done recently this year. Some of these are brand new units. Some of these are old units. So it's been around a little bit, but it wasn't really until this lovely lady's buff did it start going spiraling out of control that everything really became, oh wow, ignore effect resistance. Because I remember when that happened and it was like, wait, really? You're gonna let us ignore FRES on this unit? And then it just went, I remember that balance patch. It's somewhere back in the videos. You go back and have fun at it with it. But I'm pretty sure we were all going, oh, you gotta be kidding me. You're gonna let me ignore effect resist, seal somebody. Really? Okay. 10 souls? Let's freaking go. It's horrible. Does not need to be in the game. 100%. I can slightly adjust it because she's an ML5, but outside that, doesn't belong. Absolutely is a horrible mechanic to the game. And this is where a part of the game is going. It's all this ignore effect resistance stuff that makes that information that I just showed you here completely and 100% irrelevant. Because those units on that list do not need an ounce of effect resist or effectiveness to do their job. Meaning, no matter what happens, they control and do exactly what they need to do in order to do it. Now, this is definitely barking up a tree of a specific group of players who are going to whine, moan, and complain because they need this in order to do their job. Well, you know what? It's called stop being greedy. Because that's what this allows you, that's what those units right here allow you to do. They allow you to be greedy. They allow you to ignore that chart behind you. That now you can have your cake, you can get it with ice cream, and then with some extra chocolate sauce sprinkled on it, you've got the whole sundae ready to go. And this is what's stupid, is the whole game was supposed to be designed around balance. I'm sorry, I didn't know that units that took extra turns and all this other stuff needed this stuff. I didn't realize that we needed to ignore a mechanic that was told to us was mandatory to keep the game balanced. But here we go. As of September 17th, 2023, these are all the units that are currently in the game that ignore effect resistance, and it's only going to keep getting worse. As the year progresses and as we go further into 2024, I expect this list to grow by at least 4 to 5 units that are, well, I'm going to say at least 4 new units next year, plus with a balance patches coming about every 12 weeks, I'm assuming 1 to 2 new, maybe 3 new ignore effect resist units that just aren't doing their job because they're not performing well in PvP because, well, people decided to get smart and change how they played and built certain things. But now in this case, because of those people who build a little bit of effect resistance, decided to screw over those who wanted to be fast as everything, debuff everything, have bulk too, and do damage all at once. Thus they get ignore effect resistance so that they can do their job effectively in PvP, because typically that's the BS comment that comes up from the devs in the bottom text. Because they weren't performing and doing their job. Well, maybe it's because they cried too much because they got 15%ed, but guess what? They want to make this an esport. They want Epic 7 to be the crown jewel. They want to go out there and show off the PvP system. Well, guess what? There's too much RNG for it to ever be an esport. They can kiss that dream goodbye. It's never gonna happen. But this is why, one of the reasons they're pushing towards that, is because the more stuff that you can guarantee, the more likely you are to do the job of said unit. Instantly, with those units doing what they need to do. Now, we're not sitting here screaming that the sky is falling or that these units are going to make or break anything, but it really ignores an entire thought process of a game with a click of a button. One click and an entire mechanic, an entire thought process. My MLKen has 30.4 F resistance on his gear so that he can do his job. And 40 units say, tough luck, doesn't matter, I'm still gonna control you because I can. My investment into 5 pieces of gear, technically 6 because we're not counting the ring, but the ring is there. That could have been HP percent, it could have been attack percent, it could have been defense, but it's not. It's effect resistance. So we're moving from, I had to invest 30.4. Now, here's the crazy thing. We take out the 235 minus the 65 from the ring. He currently would have 170 F-res. Now I divide that by 5 pieces. I've now got to increase all my rolls to 34% effect resist on all 5 pieces in order to contain the exact same effect resistance that I have right now on my unit. Or, in the case of this, I'm going from 230 to now, whoops, it's always Alt, it's not Shift. 230 to 200, which means, if I go this way, which means now I can only go up against the 100%, 110 effectiveness debuffer, maybe up to 120, might dice a 130, but that's still pretty darn low because, let's be real, most of the debuffers that are going to do their job and going to be doing it well are probably running, the big heavy ones are running over 170. I'm not going to take them into that anyway, but that's just bringing it down a lot closer to where, crap, there's a lot more out there that could debuff that at 100 effect resist, or most likely, but it was great knowing up till then it wouldn't. Now, this may not seem like a big deal because it's just MLKen, but the whole point is this isn't just MLKen we're talking about. This is them taking away, for the sake of a vigor buff. I'm sorry, that is stupid. You can give him the vigor and keep effect resistance, and it's not going to overpower him. I promise you that 30 defense percent and that 30% attack is not going to make or break his 30 effect resistance. You could have given him that. You could have left that in and it had been perfectly fine. There is nothing imbalanced with all the bullcrap you did with, here is the stupid one. If you guys really want to get down to this, look at this. Veronica is the only one here who has skill-based and a ignore F-res soul burn. Everyone else is one or the other, but a brand new unit that they just released instantly has it in both. Well, it's technically her passive, but still, even though it's immortality, it's still a skill-based thing, meaning you have no control over whether or not she debuffs that or removes that immortality. But they just blatantly gave a 4-star the ability to do both. Everyone else here is either a soul burn for whatever their kit is doing. It doesn't mean that these are all debuffers. This just means they ignore the effect resistance. There is a 100% chance that whatever their kit does is going through. You have zero control over it. But the game was designed around 15%. Remember that. I'm hoping that it's not too late for the game to walk this path back, because this is getting out of control. I could slightly justify the 5 stars, and I'm going to say slightly justify the 5-star Moonlights as the ones having ignore FRES. As far as the RGBs that are not limited, that's starting to get even the limited ones are starting to go, really? Really? Do we really need to ignore FRES? To be fair, the whole mechanic needs to go, because again, what they're doing as a company is they're devaluing your stats, they're devaluing your investment to mean nothing. The investment I made into any ER unit, with these units being on the field, depending on what I'm trying to fight, means nothing if they can just soul burn it, or in this case, some of them just ignore the skill completely. Sure, some of them have startup mechanics, like Inferno Kawazu. He can't ignore FRES until he has Vigor buff, but as soon as he gets Vigor, he can ignore FRES. But it's not hard to get Vigor. It's really not. Especially when there's units that can give it, and on top of that, it's pretty easy if you take him into an AoE. Now, you force the opponent to single target? Yeah, sure, but maybe you're the one who got lucky and drafted Conqueror Lilius, so he's got Vigor regardless. And then they finally say, screw it, rip the AoE, now you got Vigor again. So, this is something that y'all need to think about. This is something that you guys don't need to just be sitting there going, hey, this is great. I love that this new unit has this. This is not good for the game. This is not what makes a healthy game balance. Take a look at this and assess this, because this is a bad direction for balance. Hopefully y'all listen. But this is the warning sign. I've been talking about this for a very long time. And to be fair, the Ken thing's kind of the one who made me step up and say, all right, let's really show you how crazy this really is. But that's 40 units, by the way. 40 units in the game, and I know I've seen a lot of these gain their ignore FRES in the last 1.5 to 2 years. Some of these were brought in with it right away. But I've seen, from balance patches, Archdemon's Shadow included, I remember that patch of her getting it. It was a 100% chance. Then it went to ignore effect resistance. It used to just be 15%, 85% chance to land that seal. Oh, you have ER? Not anymore. I remember those days. So I hope this helps. I hope you guys share this and post this around. The devs need to listen to this. They're not, because that's not the direction they're carrying the game. It's very obvious the people who they are catering for. But who knows? I tend to be the bad guy, but you know what? At least I care about the game. At least I care where it's gonna go. And I want something better for the game, because I love Epic 7. Regardless of what you guys may or may not think, I actually do love the game. I want the best for it because it is such a cool IP. I love the characters. I love the story. I love what they've done with it, but I don't like where they're going. And this is a big red flag for balance in the long term of things. There's a lot that they can do to fix the balance of this game, but they won't do it. They're too afraid to do it. But let's hope maybe next year things will change. Maybe they'll get a new creative director inside the balance team, inside the character creation, the people who are responsible for making the skills. Maybe they'll find some new blood back there that will help go, wait, we need to fix some of this stuff because this is getting out of control. And all this should be removed from the game. That's really what it should do. If you made a game and you said up and down, your promise was 15% was what was going to protect the players, that ain't protecting them, and half of those units up there are meta. So, good luck, guys. This is the best I can do. I've laid it out for you. Now it's your turn to go out and share this information. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.